Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today I will be doing a top 5 greatest presidents, United States presidents of all time. I'm not going to be spending particularly long talking about each president. I do want this to be a rather short video, but to the point, and so you guys can at least see who I believe are the top 5 greatest US presidents of all time. For you, please mention in the list below who your top 5 greatest US presidents of all time are. I do intend to do a top 5 worst US presidents of all time list. Probably later on this month. But I figured let's start off with the good news or the best parts, and then we'll get to the worst. But anyway, before I start this list, please make sure to go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We just passed 200 subscribers, so for everybody who subscribed, thank you guys so much for doing that. And let's get to 250 and then 300. So let's keep it up. I'm so excited for what happened, and I'm very much looking forward to making new videos. Anyway, let's get right into this top 5 list and start off with the 5th greatest president in my mind of all time, which is Calvin Coolidge. Calvin Coolidge is probably one of the most underrated presidents in the United States history, I believe. He was president from 1921 to 1929, right after following Woodrow Wilson and World War I. During his presidency, there was a booming economy. The United States had just, liberated Europe, I guess, from Germany, not obviously World War II, but World War I. Very, very good economy. And he was actually a very quiet person. People used to call him Silent Cal. Did not speak much, but he was a Republican. Back in the 1920s, obviously not parties were different, but political stances were much different. Yes, he was a Republican. As you remember, if you guys remember from United States history, the Roaring '20s. This was when the stock market was essentially doing incredibly well, which, when we hear about the Great Depression, that was when all of this kind of came to an end. That happened under Herbert Hoover, obviously. But Calvin Coolidge, very, very good with the economy during his presidency and helped lead the United States out of World War I and into what you would call a great time of, I don't know how to put it, wealth and greatness for the United States. Not the peak of U.S. and U.S. history, but a very, very good time. Anyway, let's get to the 4th greatest president of all time, which in my mind is John F. Kennedy, if this picture can load. John F. Kennedy was the 36th president of the United States, I believe. Let's see. Actually, no, he was the 35th president of the United States. Yes, John F. Kennedy was the 35th president of the United States. Unfortunately, he was assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald in November 1963, but he served from 1961 to 1963, almost 3 years, about 2 years and 10 months. He was, during his presidency, not to specifically focus on the economy, but the economy was doing well. The economy was, very, very, people had lots of jobs, but the jobs numbers were very great. And, that focuses on today with what's going on under the Biden administration, which is, I guess, one of his, lacking qualities with Biden. But yeah, when we look back and compare, during the Kennedy administration, economy was doing very well. He also during the Cuban Missile Crisis, helped dissolve that very, very, very scary altercation between the United States and the Soviet Union, and led to actually a negotiation between the United States and the Soviet Union that prevented them from having nuclear weapons in North America. So very good with that, and he promised to land a man on the moon by the end of the decade. Another challenge to the Soviet Union, which essentially his plans to put a man on the moon, which essentially started under his administration, led to the bankruptcy and fall of the Soviet Union, which in turn led to a very great time for the United States following that fall, which I guess happened in the 1990s and 1980s. Let's hop into number 3, the 3rd greatest president of U.S. history, Thomas Jefferson. He is actually the 3rd president of the United States, so I guess a little bit of a correlation there. The most notable thing that he did was make the Louisiana Purchase, which bought a enormous portion of North America, in what we consider America today, about a third of the mainland, which went against kind of his beliefs, but he ended up his beliefs that the federal government should not be involved in going out that far. But he thought it was a very good deal against a very good price from the French. He decided to buy it. It led to a lot of people traveling west, kind of taking risks, going in, starting a new life, and led to the development of the West and great wealth for the United States, and a lot of great things. And he was president during that period. So that is probably one of the most notable things that I feel the need to talk about in the short video that I plan to make. If you guys want to, for anybody, if you feel the need to mention something about them, then go right ahead that I missed, because I'm not going to be spending as much time. But anyway, let's get into the second greatest president of all time, which is Abraham Lincoln. He was the 16th president of the United States, another person who was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth. I was about to say Lee Harvey Oswald again. I remember that was Kennedy, because we have two assassinated presidents in the top 5 list. The most notable thing that he did, which is, essentially the defining thing of his presidency and legacy, was he won the Civil War between the North and the South, the Confederates and the Union, in the Civil War of the United States, which led to the emancipation of slaves, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, which guaranteed black people in the country the right to vote and abolished slavery in the United States. He also, before he was assassinated, started to develop a very, very wise plan for Reconstruction with the 10% vote in all states, where 10% of the country agreed, absolute loyalty, whatnot, of that state population. But he was able to essentially save the Union, where a lot of people back then thought that it was in imminent decline because of the incredibly dividing issue back then of slavery, where the North was very much against it and the South was for it. And he ended up actually uniting the Union to being more united than it had ever been before. Obviously, with Andrew Jackson, that kind of messed things up. But as we headed into the late 1800s, it did kind of unite. So Abraham Lincoln, one of the greatest presidents of all time, top 2, as we head into the greatest president of all time. And unfortunately, he was also another president who was assassinated. The greatest president of all time, in my mind, was George Washington. He was the first president of the United States. Another correlation, number one. Not really much because of the policy things that he did, but simply because of how good he was as a man, as a president. Fought. He was the leading general in the Revolutionary War, and was a main factor in the creation of the United States, which is very, very good. I'm very happy to live in this country today, so I do thank him for that. But a lot of things that he did as president of the United States was set precedents, very, very important precedents that presidents still follow today. Most notably, the 2-term policy, aside from FDR. He had 2 terms. A lot of people thought that he could have essentially stayed president until he was king. Yeah, he did die 2 years later, but nonetheless, he stepped away from power and let another person rule, John Adams. And then, on and on and on we go. But yeah, and a very, very good, a very powerful thing to do is to step away from power. It shows that he had a very good self-control and ability to understand himself and the world. And another thing he did was report to Congress. We have the State of the Union address every year now. He made a cabinet positions, cabinet secretary, which are top advisors to the president and help administer different sections of the executive branch. So a lot of great things that he put in place that still exist in the United States today and are very helpful for the maintenance of the United States. So very, very good president, and in my mind, he was the greatest of all time out of the 45 presidents who have ever served as president. 45 people have ever served as president of the United States. Anyway, that is my entire list for the top 5 greatest presidents of the United States. Please let me know your list below in the comments. Also, tell me, if you want to, you can go into a little bit more depth of what each man did as president if you'd like, and if you are particularly interested in that person. But aside from that, go ahead and make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I got a lot of great content coming out. Like the video, and have a great day. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day.